unfortunately, it kind of
Sorry, I thought I hit the record. We'll get
uh,
your ukulele performances on tape.
see.
Oh, there it
No,
comes through. I was
it's
like, is it
Oh, it was
actually
like it
making?
wasn't picking it up
Yeah, that was kind of
oh,
weird.
it wasn't picking it up. Oh,
for a
okay.
Yeah, it
second.
picked up
Yeah.
in the end.
But, what is it? The minor
Right
fifth.
now, I keep my ukulele at work. I have a work ukulele.
I was given a trombone, so now I'm gonna become a trombone guy.
Oh, okay.
I'll show up on Zoom calls and be like,
Just trying to remember my what's the my Cohen, hallelujah, hallelujah. I don't remember how it goes.
nice.
I'm good at
I went through a little phase where I
I'm
was
good
like,
at Calexico songs.
hence the t-shirt. Yes. No, I had a phase where I
Yes.
kind of was into, you know,
I just
playing.
have
What
this
is?
next to me.
Yeah, xylophone. Is it?
Fucking
Okay.
xylophone. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
I
I always wanted an auto harp.
was
Ever since
watching
I
the
saw it in elementary school.
last night. I put on I'd seen it before, the B-52's live video where Fred Schneider's playing his Mickey Mouse piano book.
Can you hear that?
Huh? Oh no, no, not really. I think maybe your mic's too good or something to pick up stupid things.
That's good. Probably
Pick up stupid
possibly
things.
probable. Probable.
Oh, I thought you had something I had on the background to make sure it's not bleeding through. Okay.
But yeah, have you seen that bit of him performing live on stage with the Mickey Mouse piano book? That's pretty fun.
No, but that
No.
sounds pretty likely. I mean, I've seen like a couple of videos of craft work, like famously the pocket calculator synth is like a commercial like toy thing.
Right.
The lead in that is like doo 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 doo. It's this is like footage of him playing that
Oh,
just like
okay.
on stage, and it's like doo 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 doo. Yeah.
But their goal was to not be on stage at all, right? Which I guess they're successful with because they have no original members
Well,
in Kraftwerk anymore, do they?
I mean, the thing is that when they were, really I don't know, really popular, really starting out, when they were putting records out, the equipment they had was just completely insane and took up, most of it took up like rooms and stuff. It wasn't like just, and I definitely have seen bands that are like, we're now touring. We were touring with 6 people and now we're touring with 2 people.
Right,
Like,
right.
and it's like I kind of understand that's totally money. There's nothing else to that. But like,
Isn't that the Kiss thing? It's like now you're gonna watch our holograms instead.
I mean,
We
I've
give
never
up.
paid to
Have a
see all of
hologram.
Kiss as humans, so I
Hmm.
don't think I'm gonna pay for the holograms.
Right.
But there's like Melt Banana used to like have a touring drummer at least when they played here, and the last several times I've seen them, it's the singer, the lady, and the guitarist, and she has like a remote that controls that like controls the DAW, like that this just like sort of a push play push stop
Oh,
device, but
right.
it's all colorful, and she'll just sort of like hit play and then like wave it around as if it was doing anything, but it's not doing anything. And I'm
Yeah.
like, that's funny, but it's not. I've seen him do that like 2 or 3 times. I'm like, I'm done. I don't need to see that show anymore.
No, there's a group, the Funky Monkey Babies, in Japan 15 years ago, where the producer, it's three people on stage, the two singers and the producer, but the producer had nothing to do live, so he just stood in the background waving his arms around the entire time without holding anything. Was it Mark? Were
Yeah.
you with me when I saw the Flaming Lips on the Soft Bulletin tour?
Yes.
Yeah, because they just filmed the
They didn't
drummer.
have a whole lot of stuff to do. Yeah.
They only had the three members at the time, so they had the film of the drummer playing behind the band while the drummer is playing
Yeah.
different things. I guess he's not the drummer anymore and hasn't been for 20 years, but whatever.
I think they don't they do they not use drums anymore? Or like I
They
don't know
just
what the
have
hell's
they
going
have
on.
a drummer now, I think, because now when you see the Flaming Lips,
Uh,
there's like 20 people on stage, right?
I don't know. I haven't. That was the only time I saw them.
Yeah.
I didn't really care for Yoshimi Battles the Pink Robots, and I hated the album after that. And then they put out good albums after that. But then when they started putting out good albums again, it was like $100 to see them, and I was like, okay, I'm fine.
I guess we should go ahead and glister or glisterns, as I wrote in this meeting by
Let's
accident.
put some
Glisterns. Yeah, I
ice
was
on
wondering
this
what a
glister.
glistern was.
I could have fixed it, but it wasn't
where you
worth
get
it,
your-
you know?
It's where you get your shiny water out of your glistern.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna like redo the link or anything. I mean, it's gone
No, I
after I was,
demand you
yeah.
redo the link.
Everyone get out of this meeting, get in another meeting. Okay. Um, yeah, I have a summary and
Cool.
I give it 5, and I guess we'll go.
Welcome to Podcast 1999, the podcast about Space 1999. I'm your rock carrier, Mark.
I don't want to carry a rock. That sounds too heavy. This is Matt.
And
We're
this
on-
is, I guess, the other rock carrier. Am I the zombie rock carrier or the non-zombie rock? Well, I guess they're both zombie
You
Yeah,
could
rock.
be a
they're
rock
both
if you want.
zombified. Help, I'm a rock.
You could be a rock. The rock was alive. Every rock in this show is alive.
Yeah, yeah,
In this
yeah.
episode.
This is a
Yeah, none of them
geologist.
were rocks.
This is a geologist's dream.
Especially if you're an Irish geologist who loves Texas.
Yes, yes. That was
An
weird.
Irish Texan. Yeah, that was one of the stranger things about the episode.
And spoiler, he didn't die, which I was fully expecting.
Yeah. I immediately
guess-
called him, okay, this is the red sleeve of the week, right? It's like a
Like,
red shirt.
here's
on
our
and you
regular
get him.
cast plus the Irish cowboy. I'm like, I guess
maybe we just don't kill guest stars in season 2 that are
I
not
kind of
evil.
wanted him to die.
Yeah, me too. He's terrible.
It's really annoying.
Well, he started out really terrible, really, sketchy with his treatment of Maya, but then, you kind of warm up to him in some ways. And then at the end, you're supposed to feel bad for him because you figure, oh, the Rock's got him. He's definitely, the red shirt of this episode, but then he's not. So I expect to see him again next week, don't you?
Of course.
Well,
yeah.
let's
Like
find
Kelly.
out.
He's
Let's-
probably
let me
roommates with
tell you.
Kelly.
Let me tell you
He
all
has
about that
trivia.
in this week's trivia. Eventually, I'll tell you all about that. Corrections corner first. I said last week we'd be meeting Zienia Merton's replacement this week, but it will be next week instead. Mea culpa. This episode is 4th in production order, but it aired 9th. The title it references a phrase, all that glisters is not gold, that origins probably all the way back to the 12th century, but it's made most famous in Shakespeare's Merchant of Venice. All that glisters is not gold. I already messed it up. Often have you heard that told, many a man his life has sold, but my outside to behold. Gilded tombs do worms enfold. Had you been as wise as bold, your in limbs in judgment old, your answer had not been inscrolled. Fare you well, your suit is cold, cold indeed, and labor lost. Then farewell, heat, and welcome frost.
I'm sorry, Mark. The Royal Shakespeare Company cannot use your services at this time. If
Wait,
an opening
wait,
comes
wait,
up, we'll.
No, tell him I'm friends with Jack Shrapnel. I didn't even say that right. God.
Or Christopher Lee.
Yeah, Christopher Lee.
That's a good one because no one can check.
Oh, that
No.
glisters is not gold.
Yeah. This episode
Welcome
has
to
the
Isengard.
smallest. Oh god, this episode has the smallest cast of the entire series, of any episode in the entire series, and none of it takes place on Moonbase Alpha. Martin Landau famously hated this script and wrote notes on his copy such as, all the credibility we're building up to is totally forsaken in this script. Story is told poorly. Characters go out the window, and the character of Koenig takes a terrible beating in this script. We're all schmucks. Tony Anholt said Martin was desperately unhappy about the whole script. He thought it was absolute rubbish. We all did. Freddie Freiberger, once he saw the opposition, just became utterly entrenched and would give nothing at all. That was, quote, the greatest episode of the series. It was the most sci-fi type of story. It was going to stay, and he was going to prove his point. Apparently, Landau and several other cast members considered walking off set to sabotage the production, but ultimately decided against it, obviously. The primary writing credit goes to Keith Miles, born in 1940 in Cardiff, Wales, UK. This is shockingly his only credit for the show. He also wrote for Bright's Boffins and Rogue's Rock, but the majority of his resume consists of 156 episodes of the show Crossroads, a soap opera that ran for 22 years and had 4,526 episodes. Ray
We'll do that for a
Austin.
podcast next.
Oh, yeah.
I don't want to get that
Ray,
box set.
no. Yeah, it's just your whole house. Ray Austin, back to direct for his second time this season and ninth and final time overall, also hated the script and purportedly delivered a large rock the size of a cannonball to producer Fred Freiberger's office one morning with the attached note, "I named this rock Freiberger." After completing this episode, Austin directed one episode of The New Avengers and then relocated to America. That's right, he didn't just quit the series, he quit the entire continent. Our only guest this week is Patrick Mower as Irish Texasman Dave Riley. He was born Patrick Archibald Shaw to Welsh and English parents. Mower is his screen name. In 1938 in Oxford, UK, he was a reasonably popular actor in the late 60s and 70s and even tried out for James Bond in 1968, although he was deemed too young for the part. That was Roger Moore, right? So basically Roger Moore beat him out because he was too young. And maybe other reasons. You can, however, see him in The Flockton Flyer, Swizzlewick, and School for Unclaimed Girls. He's still acting today, but the entirety of his resume since 2001 consists of 1,413 episodes of Emmerdale Farm, a soap opera that has been running for 52 years and has 9,955 episodes. Even though his character survives this episode, shockingly, he will not be back for any further Space 1999 episodes. And that's the trivia.
Oh no,
Oh, drat.
not Dave. Here's your story.
Right.
Moonbase Alpha is passing by a planet that shows evidence of milganite, a substance they absolutely need. The command crew and Irish cowboy geologist Dave Riley take an Eagle down with a strict 3-hour time limit. They find the rock that suggested milganite, but that element is not actually there. It turns out the rock is sentient. It possesses Tony Verdeshi, takes over the Eagle, and begins a desperate search for water. The away team realizes that the living rock needs water to survive, but lacks the communication interface to communicate with the Alphans. Maya turns into a rock to try and communicate, but this still fails. The away team is eventually able to lure the rock's influence away from the Eagle, which they board and take off in, without any milganite. Still, they realize the rock is simply a force of nature trying to survive, and they seed the clouds on the way out to give life-giving water. That's not a well-written statement. To give life-giving water to these truly alien creatures. Give life-giving. Okay.
Well, how
That's
do you
why-
guys feel about this episode? Well, let me tell you how I feel about it first. I don't think that this is that bad of an episode. And I think that it's an interesting topic. And I feel like this is something that Star Trek The Next Generation would do. Like
Yeah.
straight up.
Yeah, I got that vibe. I mean, it's a first contact story, right? The thing, I mean,
Yeah.
they don't crash the Eagle in this, but kind of has the vibe of a shuttlecraft crash episode, which those usually are not my favorite. So it does have that going against it. I don't like
Yeah.
episodes where we're just trapped on the planet with a shuttlecraft or Eagle in this
Yeah.
case. I mean, I
I
don't
mean,
hate
Well,
them, but they're
it's
not my favorite.
you say it reminds you of a TNG episode. It seems to me it's kind of Devil in the Dark from TOS, but we don't have quite the
Yeah.
sympathy for the creature until the very, very end, because the creature was lashing out just like the Horta lashed out to protect themselves, and no one understood it. And it's a rock. So
Yeah.
There's Skin of Evil, where Armis takes out a main cast member and smack talks all the way into lower decks, right? You get
yeah,
to
and he
prank call
didn't
him.
the rock didn't even kill anybody in the end. So, the
So
Horde, I
that-
think, killed more people than the rock did.
I just was
What-
like, hey,
what-
the point of the episode was to get the substance, what they really need, and did not get.
Yeah. And I
Well, like Helena
sort
said,
of-
they got out of there with their lives. So that was the win.
Yeah.
yeah, the stuff that was extremely bad. Okay, this was in the script, so that's fair for Landau to be mad at it. Was when it sort of when he yelled green might be the death color. when it's like when it seemed like some kind of thing that we were all supposed to think is normal, that colors mean
Exactly.
something.
It's like, why
Okay.
did you think there would be a death color in the first place? And Why would you be speculating about it at this point? Like, there's more than two colors so far. You don't even know how many colors. It made no sense.
It could have been purple. I don't know.
Yep, I
But
was
then we
hoping for
find out
purple.
that red is the death color at the
Mm.
Like, yeah, surprise. What color would you think it was going to be?
Danger, danger.
We also
Son of
find
a-
out that Maya can just sort of telepathically communicate with people in other forms, that's pretty handy.
Yeah, she fails as a rock though, right? Because
No,
she's like
not a great rock, but a great communicator.
okay.
Well, I guess the rock just was not talking back to her.
Well, I mean, she was
I think
talking
the
to,
rock was just
yeah,
ignoring it. Yeah, that
that's a
was
good
kind of
point.
what I
Yeah.
got out of it.
I think the rock was just like, I know you're not a rock. I'm going to kill you.
Sort of
But,
house. You were like, what am I coming away with this episode? Without Moganite. You know how Space Brain is the one with the foam party, right? That's how we think of Space Brain now. It's the one with the foam party.
Yeah.
This is the one with the flashlight as a special effect. I think that's what I'm going to take out of it.
Yeah.
Oh, the key light that just follows you around the room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
was
The
a
thing
special
where
effect.
you're at a party with a bunch of 5-year-olds and you shine one in your face and be like, I've trapped you. And they're like, no, you've trapped. Like they play along with it.
The
It's
one
like
that's
that
looking
kind
for
of
water
vibe.
in the containers, and it's like, this is literally someone just with a flashlight behind the camera. Which I mean, I could appreciate that.
Which
That's
is
cool.
fun.
That's
Yeah, I don't mind. I'm sure that really sucked in 1975. Like it must
If
have
they at
seemed
least had a
terrible.
reverse angle, right, on the rock shining the light somehow, like do one effect for crying out loud. Have them do a matte of the
when it
beam
was with
coming
the
out of
rocks,
the
that was
rock, but
cool.
we didn't even get that.
I was just with the search in particular. I'm like, that is obviously a flashlight or key light, as you put more likely. But
Mhm.
I'd like to think that it was actually someone with a heavy duty flashlight. You know, the kind that you can beat someone over the head with.
It really could have been.
with
I
a
don't know.
green
It might have
filter
been
on it.
big for that. Yeah, but
Yeah.
like so they just took the batteries out of a flashlight and hooked it up. You know that old trick where you can like take the like wires to a flashlight and hook it up to a bigger battery to make it brighter.
I
Like
never
make
did
somebody
that trick. I never tried. That's new to me. I just learned
you buy
about that.
like the Radio Shack, the big battery, and you hook it up to it. I mean, it's not
And then you
really
burn
worth
out
doing.
the light bulb really quickly.
Yeah, well, gotta break some eggs, make an
The
omelet.
flame that burns brightest. Yeah.
Well, that was
Yep.
before we had halogen or LED light bulbs, so it was like we
Yeah.
had to come up with some way to make the lights actually usefully bright. So
I
we had
did.
more batteries.
Maybe it's
wasn't as
because of
stupid
the
as
Oh, sorry, Mark. Go ahead.
that wasn't as stupid as the time I had a Walkman and I realized that if I upped the voltage on my switching power adapter, that it made it sound better, and then I upped it even more, and then it like destroyed it.
Yeah, that sounds
So
like a
that was
bad
pretty dumb.
move. Yeah.
But it sounded really good for a minute.
I did think it was funny that I've been tracking Nick Tate, of course, and he looks really happy in like the first two scenes of this episode, and then I guess the bad cast morale kicked in, and he seemed bummed out once we're halfway in again.
Yeah, he seemed in a better mood, but I'm sure that
Only for the first two scenes.
yeah.
Then he didn't seem to be in such a good mood anymore. So,
Well, consider this. What if he was just in a good mood because Martin Landau was so pissed?
I should hope that's the case.
Yeah.
Right.
Is it just me, or is the behind the scenes drama actually sometimes more interesting than the stories on this show that are written?
That might be the thing with this episode. And you're sitting here trying to figure out what's so bad about it. It's like, I mean, yeah.
It's kind of like a
it's not
mediocre TOS episode. Yeah, it's not great, but it's not terrible.
I maintain there were dumber episodes than this in season 1. I think there really were.
No, this is
maybe
a
better
proper
executed.
first contact episode, isn't it? Which is kind of
Yeah.
cool because Space 1999 usually has grandiose, like again Royal Shakespeare people showing up to
Yeah,
use the screen as hard as they can, and
Yeah.
here, like the Darians, I guess that was a little bit like a first contact as well, but that was kind of dramatically. I mean, this has the whole communication thing going, which is always a fun wrinkle.
Yeah. And
but this was like a
wow,
totally alien form of life. It wasn't like a humanoid actor walking up and speaking English and saying, "Hello, we're just as advanced or more advanced than you usually."
yeah, and
so,
that's all of maybe Landau just hates the idea of non-humanoid aliens.
He was probably like, my guest star this week's a rock. What are you talking about?
How am I supposed to act
he's a
opposite a rock?
speciesist.
Well,
right.
we could see that Ray Austin definitely did not like directing a Rock.
No.
So it might just have been everyone agreed on it.
Again, Dave is technically the guest star here, but I really like to think that the special guest star is a Rock in this episode, that makes it
I
fun.
mean, I think the Rock was more charming than Dave was.
Yeah.
Should we
Oh,
play
yes.
the favorite line game? Which was your favorite line or the most memorable line?
I mean,
I could
sorry, go
let's
ahead.
see. Helena did her "I'm a doctor, not a" line.
Yeah,
That's
there's
me.
that.
Yep.
That's me, lucky
right
hat.
out of
That's me, lucky hat. Where Dave goes full leprechaun as he's getting his hat. That's kind of fun. I'm just looking at ones I actually bothered to write down. I wrote.
mine
I'll
is
tell you the one.
I checked
Go
out me
ahead.
Lucky Charms, but I don't think he actually said that. Help! I'm a rock. Maya. I'm pretty sure I put those words in her mouth as well. Okay.
I don't think she
Yeah,
said that.
seriously.
The
Sorry,
line that
Rob.
stuck in my head after all these years from when I first saw it was like, "Red is death. Red is death."
Yeah, get out of here. That could be the death color. But the eyes of Texas are upon me is probably the dumbest and favorite line at the same time.
Yeah, Dave
The
got the
eyes of
weirdest lines.
Texas are upon me.
Right. Whereas, yeah, I'm just looking through my list here. Helena had orders specifically not to look at the rock, and that's the first thing she does. That was fun. I guess it's just mesmerizing. It's a mesmerizing rock. It's like one
She
of those
can't look
geode
away.
museums with the black lights, you know?
It's like the most beautiful person you've ever seen, but it's a rock.
Yeah.
Don't look at it, Tony. Oh, now you're dead.
Well, possessed. But no, I guess no.
Well,
what is
at
it?
first he was dead.
His
He's
heart
not
isn't
dead yet.
He's
fine
not
now.
quite dead. Yeah, his heart's
got
not
better.
running, but everything else is okay. That's kind of weird. How does that
Well,
work? That's almost as
I
bad
don't
as
know.
having two brains.
We never
in
made
your
it
head
clear if it
physically.
happened to Dave as well. He just got kind of knocked out and then he woke up.
Well, you
Solid
kind of
lead.
assume it was like the same thing. So his heart was not beating at that point. I don't know.
his
Yeah,
heart was not in this episode.
we are like pairing Tony and Helena again because they spend most of the time on the Eagle while everyone else is out and about. So I was like they're hostages of the Eagle in this episode. I'm just trying to make that through line continue as well.
Yeah. No.
Well, Landau's
it's
got to be
almost-
out Captain Kirking, right? And then they got to throw in the new security, Lady Maya into every situation. I think that was the last condescending thing that I heard Big Dave say was something like, "Maya, go fetch me a microscope." And it's like, yeah, boss, the smartest lady in the room around. That was my notes on
Well, I guess they're sort of 7 of 9ing this, obviously, with Maya, and then maybe Tony is Tony's obviously just, why don't we cut costs by firing 3 regulars and adding 1? And since Freiberger is clearly like no old people, he's relatively young. So
no
there you go.
oldies.
Sex appeal and rocks.
And he's an Italian Romeo, not one of those Irish Romeos you've heard about.
Oh yeah, it was weird how racist Tony was towards the Irish. That was a little bit off-putting.
A little bit.
He said he brought it up at least twice.
Well, David's glistering too hard, right? So
I mean,
Called him
don't
an
get me
Irish
wrong,
Romeo
Dave is
and a
terrible.
loudmouth Romeo. Yeah, it was Irish loudmouth Romeo.
Latin lover versus a Romeo, yeah. But yeah, Tony has like nothing to do in this. So if this was supposed to push his, well, it's not supposed to push his character anywhere, is it? He's comatose or zombified throughout the like 80% of this.
I mean, I would complain about Tony not really having a well-defined character at all so far, but the show has done that with other people.
Yeah,
So,
you're saying the Maya 709 thing. Like, that doesn't really track with me. I mean, other than we have a new actress on the show.
I'm just saying that in that they take a new character who's insanely capable to the point where they're indispensable and they're always thrust into every situation front and center. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not necessarily talking about, I don't think she's like Jerry Ryan level actor. And also I don't think that there isn't a lot to explore. What's she going to learn? New forms? She learns how to flirt with guys. I mean, there isn't, 7 to 9. It was like, look at this blank slate that we could teach all these human concepts. And
well, I was overthinking it because she did come from the enemy camp, right?
Yeah.
Although obviously
Well,
not an established one like in Trek, but
yeah,
he was, yeah. I mean, just there was another wrinkle that I was like, you could compare the two, but I was like, yeah, it's not really worth comparing, maybe.
I'm I'm comparing it in that suddenly this is the new star of the show, which is like not something that even I can't think of another instance on Star Trek where that happens even. Was there another one like that where they just took some and maybe there were a lot of Esri Dax episodes in the last season of Deep Space Nine, but that just still doesn't feel quite the same.
Yeah, because that's technically at least half the same character, right? Different actor
Well,
though,
also
so
there was
that's
a lot of other stuff going on in that season
Mhm.
of
Well,
varying
they didn't at
quality.
least put Maya into a cat suit at the end of episode 1, like they did with Seven of Nine. I mean, they were clearly going for a, attractive lady, but they weren't going for like
Yeah,
a sex kitten sort of thing, which they tried to do with Jerry, and it
yeah.
wasn't necessary because Jerry is a good actor.
No, that's the thing is that we love all that stuff because she's so insanely talented and because the writers found good things to do with her. Um,
Mhm.
I don't think it's
But
fair
her,
to say Catherine Shell isn't talented because she is talented, but they don't give her things to do except for turn into a rock
oh yeah,
and turn into
she's
a
great in what she does,
panther.
but
Yeah.
I was starting to wonder again. You were talking about Barbara Baines' jealousy of anyone who shows up in a shorter skirt than she has, or something like that
Mhm.
from last season.
Yeah.
And it's like almost immediately we get, episode 3 last week where she's in this, dress for the entire episode for no very good reason.
I
Even
think,
though Catherine
well,
Shell's nowhere to be seen except for the teaser.
I strongly believe I didn't see a lot of this like explicitly hashed out in trivia or anything like that or behind the scenes stuff, but it really feels like everyone on this show knows that they're sort of on thin ice because the show was took a while for it to get renewed and everyone kind of thought it wouldn't be renewed. So it may be like, they probably Bane and Landau probably felt like they were pretty powerful in the first season, and they probably cannot feel powerful, especially with new guy comes in, takes all the control, and they you can't push back like they could with the Andersons. So
Yeah, they had all
yeah,
pull with the Andersons, with Freddie not so
obviously
much.
yes, yeah.
You take your paycheck and you like it.
I mean, they could just straight up like you can't make you can't make Nick Tate like the third most important character in an episode last season. Like they could do that. They could just rewrite an entire episode just to not feature one of the regular characters most of the episode. It's like that's
You mean
not
Johnny
common.
Cellini,
And it was a pretty
who
bad
sounds exactly
episode.
like Luke Ferro.
Yeah.
Sounds exactly like, hmm.
We are going to investigate the space graveyard. And that sound like Dracula.
And
Anyway.
and then they finally put it established there is an Italian character in the main cast, and he's like the most British Italian guy you
Yeah.
ever heard.
Uh-huh.
No accent whatsoever, no even allusions or occasional word of Italian comes out of his mouth or anything to even make you think he's Italian other than his last name.
You
Yeah, and
want
I
an
don't
occasional "Mamma mia, that's a spicy meatball" when they see a new planet.
I don't think there was
Anything that
anything.
that would be
Yeah.
something. It'd be terrible,
That's
but it'd be something.
that's a spicy meatball. I don't think he's even Italian, really. It's
It's
just I think
me,
they gave his
Tony.
character. I think they gave
Yeah, but then
yeah.
Dave
He
comes
was born
in
in
with his
Singapore, so like
me
he
lucky
was no no
hat.
no.
Yeah.
He was born in Singapore to an Anglo Dutch family. No Italian. They named I assume they named his character with an Italian name just to sort of carry the through line of everything being sort of Italian on the show because the Italian Vestards had pulled out. But there's a whole thing where Sandra was supposed to be Sandra, was it Bertolini or something like that, and then she still basically was faking an Italian accent the whole time just because
Well, Sandra
to
is,
do whatever.
I mean, Xenia was a Burmese American, I believe, or
Yes, but
Burmese
if
or
you look at
Anglo-Burmese.
interviews with her, she's British as hell. She speaks British.
Hmm.
She's
But
cheeky
she
like a
has that
British
Not
accent.
English,
person.
British.
She does not. Wait, did I say English?
No, you said Brit. She speaks British.
She speaks
She
British.
speaks in a very British manner. She speaks in the manner of someone who is from the UK. she's her
Yeah, just watch anything
mannerisms.
else she was in besides Space 1990.
Directly in the middle of
Well,
the UK.
apparently the other thing she's most known for is being like a weird Chinese stereotype in Doctor Who for a lot of episodes, which I'm not familiar with Doctor Who at all, but I don't think that probably doesn't
She
hold
might have
up
been
very
some
well.
early Doctor Who, you mean like in the 60s before she did
Yeah,
this?
70s.
Okay, yeah. She turned up in a spin-off of Doctor Who much later on, the Sarah Jane Chronicles. She turned up in an episode of that before she passed away. That's all I remember about her in Doctor Who. But yeah, I think she was in
Okay.
like Marco Polo or something, one of the earliest like first Doctor episodes.
Yeah,
That
she
should
is
remind me.
in she plays Ping Cho and is wearing sort of like a Chinese outfit in this picture. So like I don't know. Maybe it's not problematic. I don't know. I'm not going to follow up on that. I'm sure everyone listening to this has seen that and knows all about it, but I do not.
She actually is in this episode. She plays the Rock.
Oh yeah. She
That's right.
was
This is an episode that's such a small cast, we don't get to see what's going on back in Command Center.
Yeah, it's kind of weird not to
But
get a single shot because we had
mhm.
there's a reason one where we really didn't, was that the Metamorph or
that's
we
like a
didn't?
Star Trek episode without a bridge shot,
Yeah, yeah.
or even an Enterprise shot.
I'm trying to there has to be a Star Trek
We do seem to be
There's
spending less
one
time on
episode of
moon
TNG
base.
that had no bridge scene. There was one episode, it was Family, I believe.
Oh yeah, of course. Best of
Because
both worlds part 3.
And we got a lot
that's
of
right.
fake moon base last week, but otherwise we haven't gotten that much moon base this season. I guess that's one of the biggest shifts, that it's much more like
Well, they
somewhere
built
else
a
now.
pretty good Planet Hell set there for them to run around in. That was probably the biggest set so far
Yeah, yeah. I was staring at
for
the
a
back walls
soundstage
a lot,
planet. It was
so
pretty good.
I was staring at the
It
back
must be
walls a
big
lot
enough for
as I'm
Tony to
wanting to
get
do.
lost in, because when they went looking for him, they couldn't find him, and it seemed like, well, he's either here or at the Eagle or somewhere in between,
It is a
and yet
planet.
they couldn't find him. He zigzagged, serpentine, to find his way back to the cave.
It was the thing when he kind of barges his way back onto the ship and just throws like Helena and was it Helena and Maya he threw out of the ship and then locked the door. I missed that because it happened so quickly, and I was like, wait, how are they out? No, it was sorry, Helena and Tony, where like Dave was like, get out of here, and then he wanted to communicate with a rock, and then he was walking around the rock. All that happened so fast, and I think there was some maybe cuts missing that explained things.
Hmm.
So it's sort of like, wait, what? All these people are where now? But I did really like the music that played when Dave was walking around with a rock. And I can't remember exactly what it was like, but it was like din,
Oh
din,
yeah,
din,
yeah.
din.
The soundtrack's kicking it so far this
Dun, dun,
season.
dun, dun.
Again,
I
like
think it's
I like
I
very
Metamorphosis.
gray, but yeah, it is. It's
I enjoy this guy whose name I think there are two people. I can't remember their names ever, but
Well, most of this music came from the first two episodes, I think, from Metamorph and Exiles. So
makes
I
sense.
recognized a lot of the cues.
it wasn't grating on me yet, at least. I am noticing this season more. Also this season, I'm noticing like more obvious commercial break spots. I don't know if that matters or not, but there's just a couple times when I was like,
Hmm.
I don't remember that happening in season one so much. Where I was like, oh, that's where you put the commercial. Where here it's like more clear.
Huh. I felt like it was pretty obvious in season 1 because it was always the Discord music that was like dun, dun, dun,
Dun, dun, dun, dun, dun.
dun. Maybe
Yeah,
the music was so cool in the commercial breaks for season 1 you didn't think about it.
And we'll be right
that
back.
might be it. Actually, I was just like, oh, there's our dread music. Let's keep going.
Yeah.
But
Actually,
here's
it ran the act ran so long. I guess I wasn't thinking of the teaser. Well, they don't have teasers anymore. That's right. It's season two.
Mm-hmm.
They have kind of a teaser after the, well, I guess the teaser's after the opening credits, and then there's a break, and then there's the credits. But I was kind of waiting for the commercial break, and then you mentioned it, and it seemed like it took a long time to come before it finally arrived.
Hmm. Yeah, I didn't think about it at all, really.
Shall we go ahead
So
and
I
put
got
some percentages on this for how much is hard sci-fi versus how much is soft sci-fi?
I mean, I don't know how to answer that except for 50-50. It feels like the most 50-50 hard soft thing you can Well, maybe that might not be fair. I'm just thinking about there are thoughts here, but then there are dumb thoughts. Yeah, I'm gonna say 50-50 and not overthink it.
Okay. I was actually gonna push up the hard sci-fi to 80 because I'm like, we got a first contact story. It's a weird creature, but it is like an actual alien creature, like that we have to encounter an alien way. And I'm like, I actually think this is maybe the most hard sci-fi Space 1999's done so far. The
Yeah.
20% being like, yeah, there's some dumb lines and like you said, dumb thoughts, but I feel like the bare bones of the episode are a lot more like, you know, um parts. Also, we
Yeah.
don't see the
Mhm.
moon base at all, so we don't have to think about it.
Yeah, you've kind of convinced me to I'm gonna go up to 70
No,
30.
you keep your 50-50. You can
I mean,
change if
I
you want.
No
was
takes backs. Yeah.
all right, no take backs. 50-50. I'm keeping it.
Mm.
I'll take your 70-30 then, I guess, because I thought it was
Okay.
again, I thought it was a like I said, it was like played like a TOS episode. It had like the moral meaning messages almost. Not quite, but it was like these rocks did these things, but everyone didn't seem to be, malicious. Like, screw those rocks. We're never coming back to this planet. I hope they all die. There
Hmm.
was kind of like, oh, look, there's water up in the clouds. We can help these people. Oh, isn't that nice? Of
Well,
course,
I
if the whole
wonder.
planet used to be living rock and now that's all that's left of it, I don't know how the rock reproduces, but I don't know if there's enough water in a rainstorm to cause them to flourish again. So they maybe just be postponing the inevitable. But at least there was, an upbeat ending to it. It wasn't existential dread. Uh, it was trying to understand the creature rather than just, kill it as a monster. So, I have to give it that.
So you're
Well,
saying
it's
the
fun.
folks never
It's
sat you down and told you the birds and the bees about rock sex?
No, I never heard about rock sex.
I'm pretty sure they have cloacas. Um, No, but really, I I found it kind of funny that they apparently had no problem murdering humanoid aliens in the first season, and here they were sort of like, I don't know, we can't kill this thing. And then at one point, Alan says they could have helped it and taken it to a planet with water. I was just like, are you kidding me? You have the resources to transport a rock to another planet. Like you could barely, you were running out of an essential life support chemical that, yeah, that was the opening. It was
Yeah.
a rare mineral that is vital to the life support system, and they're running out of it, and they didn't get any in this planet.
The most
So they
warm fuzzy ending they could have had was, the rock in its gratitude after giving it, well, what, a couple
Ease in the
gallons of
Milkenite.
water, gave him some Milganite in return. And then they could have said, oh, look, it's being friendly to us. Okay, we should make sure it gets more water before we leave. And then, yeah. Or they could have taken it to another planet, but it'd have to agree to play nice and not, take over everybody it crosses paths with.
Yeah, I think
Dude,
that's kind of a fool me 20 times. It's shame on me situation if they take the rock with
Yeah,
them.
exactly.
no, they should
Yeah.
take the rock with them, hook it up to the life support, and it makes Milkenite, and they feed it water, and it becomes a member of the crew. It becomes like Morn, like it never talks, but
And it becomes like every
every
member of the crew because it
Well,
possesses them
here's
all.
here's the most empathic
yeah.
thing that they said about the is like Koenig said, well, maybe like humans, they panic and do dumb things too. They do panicky, desperate things when they're in danger, like a human being would. It's like, oh, okay, well, there's your moral meaning message, I guess, if you want to call it that. It's like
Yeah.
rocks are afraid too, guys. Come on.
Yeah, sometimes I shine a red light in someone's face when they piss me off and they're worried I'm going to kill them.
Well,
Maybe
it's like a
that's
cornered animal,
maybe what Landau didn't like is that Koenig gets screamy and then he's not correct. Because Mark, as you point out, up to this point, like every time he gets shouty and antagonistic, he turns out being correct.
I just point out that he's always right about everything. It's not just when he gets screamy. It's just when he gets mad, he's right. When he doesn't trust someone, he's right. When he does trust someone, he's right. It's just this thing where he telepathically knows, can read every creature in the universe.
And that's why he's in command.
Yeah. I was like, what if he just doesn't like it because he can't punch a rock because he'd hurt his hand?
Yeah, that could be it. Anyway, I just felt like Koenig wasn't really like didn't really get it in this episode, which might have gotten Landau up in Landau's craw. because
I
it's kind of confused. I guess it's not an
yeah,
emotional episode, so you know.
I
Lando
don't
didn't get really a shining moment in the story, I guess. You know,
I guess it's sort of this thing where I don't entirely it is not clear to me why he hated this so much. I'm my assumption is that everyone is kind of annoyed with the way the show is going. You know, they've had like Dr. Matthias just quit, Sandra just quit, Ray Austin is about to quit. Like when you're in a work, it's like the what is it? Employee morale. Employee morale will the beatings will continue until morale improves, like that kind of thing. Like I think that everyone was just kind of feeling like, oh, this is going to hell, and this is my face on the front of this thing, and it's just going to hell, and everyone's grade is quitting, and yeah, it's probably just a buildup of stress, and this was felt like just a bridge too far. And then the guy is like, "Oh, you don't like it, do you? Well, this is the best episode of the series ever." You know,
yeah, he doubles down on
it's
it. Yeah.
not. Yeah, that is not like. It's just the dysfunction is so clear at this point.
He doesn't know it. There were 16 episodes of the first season he didn't see.
Oh, and also it's the 70s, so nobody even knows what the word dysfunction means. So everyone's just barely capable of
Well, I
dealing with
wonder,
it.
in a Diary of Year Two production, if there's some sort of agreement reached to some sort of a truce at least, so they can at least finish the series,
Well, they
the current
did. They
series.
they finished the series, so we'll see where that goes.
Well, I meant the season, but yeah, in the British sense,
Well,
the series they had
not
because this
only
is
that,
episode
but
4. They had 20 to go.
not only that, but as I understand it, people were sort of thinking they were going to get a third series. Like I don't, I think they were kind of surprised that it was canceled. Which, so I guess things
It's because
get
Lou
better
Grade
in
wanted to
some
make
way.
that Titanic movie.
Right, right. Didn't he make a couple of movies? They like bomb
He did
horribly
Raise
or
the
something.
Titanic,
Raise the Titanic. Well, we'll have to watch
and
that
he
at some
needed the
point.
money, so he said, "Well, I guess we're not going to do any more Space 1999 because Titanic."
It
Raise
was it
the
was
Titanic.
Space 1999 or the Muppet Show. You only got one.
Oh man, I mean, I would take 6 seasons of the Muppet Show over 4 seasons of the Muppet Show, 2 seasons of this. But that's just me.
No, I was actually gonna, despite the fact that we're doing a Space 1999 podcast, I think I'm on Team Muppet.
Yeah, well, that's not exactly an unpopular opinion. I'm sure even people who love Space 1999 would be like, no, it's not. It's not
When
as
did
good.
Lou Grade die?
Do. He's still alive. Just kidding.
He's what?
1998.
1998. Okay, so I
He
guess
died in 91. He would be if he was still alive now, he'd be like 120, 135.
a spry 135.
Yeah.
No, just because I guess someone bought out Henson stuff in the early 80s. I was like, because I remember that's kind of where the bottom fell out for Henson as well when he didn't have the Lou Grade support anymore. No,
Well, I don't know if you're a fan of Defunct Land, right? There's a couple of very in-depth videos about Jim Henson kind of losing control of all this
Oh
stuff.
yeah. I just read a few months ago. I read a biography of Henson, which I think was
Mhm.
just the guy's name. Like his had a boring name like The Life, a story. I don't remember. It's a very nondescript title, but it was a good book. Learned a
Yeah.
lot. That's how I learned about the cube.
Well, I think I learned about the cube when we went to that exhibit, but
So I would have seen it there, but I forgot about it. Let's put it that way. I remembered the other one,
uh
the time one, but
timepiece.
timepiece, yes. So yeah, it's like season 1 of Space 1999 doesn't seem like you could sustain that, And on the
You think it
70s,
doesn't seem like?
I don't think
I mean,
you could
it
just
was the
keep doing
most
that.
it was the most expensive British TV production ever at that point.
That being one of the
And
reasons.
remember,
Mm.
the last podcast we did was about The Prisoner, which was at the time the most expensive British. And remember what happened with The Prisoner, where they were kind of running out of money and all screaming at each other, and there was supposed to be a second series of that, but then there wasn't, and it was a
Well, and
whole
the
lot of.
original idea was let's just do 7 and call it a day.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I thought it was going to be a mini series, really.
So it's
And the
like
It
kind
deal
of
was.
was,
somewhere
but
between.
I think it's just one of those things like when you get a guy like when you get a guy in there who's very insistent about things, then you like, oh, we'll do 26, and then it's like, well, we're going to do 26 then, and then you know,
I guess
then stuff happens, and then Lou Grade is yelling, and I don't think Lou Grade was yelling at anybody. I don't know.
anyway, I guess the other side was series 2 so far seems like something that you could just keep churning out seasons of. Maybe because it's a little more Trekky feeling now, you know?
I don't know. Do you, I
It's like
mean,
the
this is
Trek
a
movies that they couldn't have. I love the first one, like this with
eh,
the newer version, especially, but they couldn't have kept making Trek movies like that, you know?
well, especially because people didn't really like that one, or did they? I mean, I think
I
that
mean,
one had the highest box office, but then it had more box office than Wrath of Khan, but it cost 10 times as much or something like that, right?
yeah, something like that. But yeah, I guess the season 1 of Space 1999 feels kind of that vibe, the very trying to be thoughtful, even if it's occasionally dumb. But whereas
Mm-hmm.
season 2 is just
Well,
like it's like those big television budget Star Trek 2-3 things where it's like somewhere between the budget of a proper movie and TV. That's why I got Art
yeah.
Bennett as a TV producer, right?
I mean, if the question is basically would I rather have like 3 or 4 seasons of Space 1999 that moved like the first season did, but didn't look quite as good, then I would be totally fine with it,
Hmm.
especially if they were smarter. Because I
Would
know I
have liked to
mentioned
have.
recently. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I
I
would
was
like to. I'm just gonna say if they had a third season, I'd like to have seen it kind of find a middle ground between what season one was and what season two was. Try to get back some of the mysterious aspect of it, some of the trippiness, as we used to say, little existential dread, but it would involve actually trying to create sort of backstory and some universe for it rather than make it purely episodic, which maybe they just weren't ready to try at the time in
well, I mean, they didn't even
the
really
70s.
do. They didn't even really fully do that with Deep Space Nine. It was sort of like they committed to it in little chunks, and there were some
Yeah, well,
through lines.
they started to build up an arc in space in Deep Space Nine, probably in response to Babylon 5, I like to think, but that's just my
Hmm,
Babylon 5 chauvinism showing, probably.
maybe I've
I
never
guess
seen
that's the other
Babylon
thing with
5, so
the light thread going through season 1. Yeah, it's like there isn't really anywhere to. I mean, I'm sure there's always somewhere to take it, but there's nowhere obvious to take it. It's like, well, they found
Mhm.
the force that was pulling them there, and now they're off to have adventures in season 2. I guess is how we're supposed to read it.
well, I mean, they didn't
Yeah.
really spend a whole lot of time contemplating the Force
Yeah,
at
maybe
all,
maybe
and
Freddie
when
didn't
they
watch that
found it.
episode.
But he said
Yeah, Freddie
he
didn't
watched
watch
eight,
that.
I
Yeah,
think. He watched
yeah,
8 episodes.
right.
What if he just only watched the ones with just alien psychopaths running around, nothing else?
Yeah, and then it would just
Um,
be like this weird sci-fi crime drama every week.
yeah, I mean,
Someone else on Alpha Snaps every week because well they wouldn't they after years on a moon base hurtling through deep space.
I mean, was it, I mean, isn't it sort of like the meaning of the title of this episode could relate to the budget of the show? Like all the glisters isn't gold. You might not need a super expensive series.
Well,
Um, even though, yeah, that might not actually apply to this because the rock wasn't really worth anything to them. It didn't have milganite, was it? I thought
nope,
it was a
just faked it.
milkanite.
Oh,
It's
Milkanite.
Milgonite of magnesia.
yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
I read it as Milgonite,
Yeah.
which I feel like it's what
Uh,
it said on Wiki, so that's
Yeah, I
probably
was
where I got
looking
the
in
spelling
the
on.
that
in the
sounds right.
book. I think they spelled it that way. I didn't really get a chance to look at the adaptation of it in the novelization, except I noted one thing is that the gravity is supposed to be significantly higher on that planet, according to the script, so that people would have trouble
Hmm.
walking around, which apparently went out the window because everybody was running around just like they normally do. So, oh well.
Maybe that was the thing that pushed Orlando over the edge. It's like, what? High gravity? We look like schmucks.
They would have looked like schmucks and you can't really. I mean,
You can't
I
act that
don't.
really. It's like
It
you
makes
can't.
sense in a book. It doesn't make sense on screen.
That's one of those things that I know I've mentioned this in some other podcasts that I hope they invent artificial gravity specifically so they can film things in weird gravity, because that would be really cool. And it's like you can't, it's hard to fake that. You really there's I mean there's a big reason you almost never see that in Star Trek ever, even though Star Trek is entirely in space.
Right.
Like they don't visit, they don't, they might, I know there's probably something I'm forgetting, but like, yeah, they don't usually visit planets and have the gravity be a major plot point.
Seldom.
Again,
Yeah.
there's some novels that'll definitely do it for you, but
Yeah.
just admit that's, I mean, that's the thing. That's, I guess, why there's so much chop and early, like so much cheesy 50s, 60s sci-fi. It's because you got to take these Asimov concepts that just don't work on screen and find a workaround,
Yeah.
Mhm.
That,
Oh, the Milganite. I was wondering, the Milganite, did the Milganite actually, I mean, the alien rock, whatever it is.
Lister.
Yeah. Did the reason it glow like that to trick them into thinking it was Milganite? Because Dave was convinced it was Milganite because it was glowing. So it's like, was the real Milganite supposed to glow? And were they just, you know, mind bleeping them with sensor readings that says Milganite's here? When they finally got there, they couldn't actually find any Milganite. So it sounded like the aliens are actually actively, you know, deceived them. But how would they know that's what
That's
they were
that's
looking for?
that's the impression I got, that the alien was giving
Yeah.
off a false signal to attract them. How it would know that? Yeah, good point.
mhm.
Maybe it has
Yeah, it's
deep
like
space telepathy, on a certain
the
level, but no language.
the space brain told them. Yeah.
it might just be sending signals of everything. Like, hey, we've got diamonds, we got gold, we got gasoline, we got milk, we got everything,
Maybe
we
it's the
got
opposite
chocolate.
of the Last Sunset, where they give them what they think they want to distract them and
hmm
not
Hmm.
land, whereas these guys are doing the opposite because
We got
they don't
mushrooms.
understand how much humans suck. Yeah, and they only get mushrooms on this planet.
I'd not to backtrack too much, but I did take in my notes a line that I thought was bad,
Oh, go for
which
it.
is that at one point Koenig, no, somebody's what I don't didn't take down who said what. Someone says, I almost forgot what clouds looked like, and someone said, you can say that again. I was like, that's not really a good use of you can say that again. That would be like, I'm so hungry I could eat a horse. You could say that again.
Then you just say it again. It's a little game they play as they're passing the time on these eagle flights. It's like, it's like looking for license plates from different states.
Well, I think that's an example of the half-baked dialogue that people were complaining about.
You know what? This is one of the best moments of my life when I got a Game Boy as a gift as a kid, and I never had to look at license plates again.
What?
So now you had to play the game to
You
open
can say
cap the
that
license
again.
plate.
Did you
Yeah.
get the license plate game for the Game
Yeah, I
Boy?
got the license plate game. uh
I
man.
guess we'll wrap this one up unless someone's got a hot take. A steaming
Oh,
pile of
wait, do I
rock.
still have do I even have any
Hot
notes
rock
open
take.
anymore?
Don't stop the rock.
Oh, here, I'll send you my notes. Haha, this episode's over.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I can't look at them. I'm doing a podcast.
Oh, okay.
But I guess tell them where we're at.
We are at patreon.com/podcastio. Send money for server bills. Find things, see things, hear things, look at things, click on things, open new tabs with the things in them, open more tabs, open 100 tabs, all with our content in it, please. Also, you can listen to other podcasts within those browser tabs, such as Films and Filth, Citizen Kane of podcasts. Brian's coming on soon for The Wicker Man. Guess which one? I bet you can. We're gonna.
Just
um,
watched it the other night too.
what did you think?
We have notes.
Okay. Don't forget to send them. We also have Luke Loves Pokemon Time Enough podcast covering Twilight Zone, moving on to season 4 right now, the long episodes. Cult Disney. Everything's long in a Cult Disney because it's about movies. Um, game show about games. Hyrule Field Report about Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. Game show. I already said game show.
Yeah. There's some
That's
pretty
all
short
long.
Disney movies when you think about it.
I mean,
Luke loves Pokemon. Did you get that one?
did I not say Luke Loves Pokemon?
I think he said
Those
that.
are
Yeah.
Those episodes
Okay.
are often his podcast episodes are often shorter than Twilight Zone episodes. But
True be dat.
anyway, but he has 1,000 of them, so you'll have a good time. Anyway, until next time, don't be a schmuck.
Red is death.
Yeah, red is dead. I must not turn green. Green is the death color.
I guess that's an album title for you. Green is the death color.
Green is the death color.
Okay.
Could be the
What's
death
next?
color.
I guess I looked that up.
I could tell you in a few minutes, in a few seconds.
Journey to Where is the next one, I believe. In fact, I
Yes.
watched that one this
Yeah.
weekend
Yes,
because I
you are
thought that
correct.
was what we were doing, and then I realized
Oh,
I skipped one, so I had to go watch it this afternoon.
wait,
Between
that's
the
it.
solar eclipse and this podcast, I had to go watch the episode this podcast was about. Okay.
That's a classic travel back to Earth through magical science episode, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yay.
There you go.
Yay! It's my
Breaking the
favorite
rule
kind.
Alright.
of no Earth scenes, unless it's the movie version.
Was that a rule?
Wasn't that the thing on the first season? Like no Earth, it's all moon. That's why it turned out to be Space 1999.
I don't
Yeah,
remember.
it's like we don't want anything on Earth, so we'll blow them away from Earth so they can never come back to Earth except when they do.
But those compilation movies filmed extra scenes on Earth and then stuck them in, right?
Well,
Like alien
Space
attacks.
Seen
Brain.
any of
Space Brain
those.
had like 20 minutes on Earth.
Oh yeah, okay. By the time we get to the end, that's a good point. I forgot about
They
that.
threw it out the window.
Maybe
Yeah, I
Dragon's
don't
Domain,
remember
we're
reading
talking about
the rule.
Tony.
Sorry,
and,
yeah, that's what did I just say? Did I
Space
not
Brain.
say?
you said Space Brain. You meant
Damn
Dragon's
it.
Domain.
Yes, Dragon's Domain. I was
Sounds
thinking
similar.
space. Well, the
Domain.
dragon in Dragon's
Brain.
Domain looks like a brain. So kind of. That's why I was
No, the
thinking.
Tritons look like a brain with an eyeball in it, man.
Mark missed that one.
I mean, I watched it, but I don't remember much about it. It
Right.
didn't seem very memorable, maybe.
Mm.
I don't know.
Except the
Oh,
guitar music when they're on the surface running around. Vic Elms.
But yeah, I guess we'll same time it then if that next week for that if that works for everyone.
Same bat time, same bat channel. Okay.
Yeah. I'm getting more and more. I think the only one podcast right now doesn't seem to have a relatively committed times, the Twilight Zone one. Everything else has committed times now, which I guess is useful. That's why I never show up for the After Darks Thursday nights because that's like slotted for the Disney.
Ah.
I never show up for this because I forget to check when they are.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm actually, I've actually watched like since I'm past what they're watching, I could totally participate in those, and I just forget. Maybe I'll show up for one of those.
Yeah,
Hey,
you probably
Mark,
won't
did you
show up for
see any
mine,
of the
though.
eclipse today?
Yeah, we had a 85%
Cool.
here, I
We
think.
only got about
Yeah.
33 and a third here, but I
Jesus.
watched it.
Yeah, cool.
I-
I have friends that traveled, like a lot of friends that traveled actually, because I guess I'm a big nerd, so I have a bunch of big nerd friends. That was the ukulele conversation earlier. Is that some of my friends are in a ukulele band and they traveled and played a ukulele eclipse fest of some sort.
Now this recording is coming to the full circle.
Yes,
Actually,
I'm a caveman now.
okay. I'll say bye-bye to folks on the recorder. So recording
Bye, folks.
is ending.
Bye.
It's all ending. Nope, my